Chapter 8. The Fight at the Lamppost. Ho, Hempress! Ho, Hempress, are you? We'll see about that, said a voice. Then another voice said, 3 cheers for the Hempress of Colony. Ats! And quite a number joined in. A flush of color came into the witch's face, and she bowed ever so slightly. But the cheers died away into roars of laughter, and she saw that they had only been making fun of her. A change came over her expression, and she changed the knife to her left hand. Then, without warning, she did a thing that was dreadful to see. Lightly, easily, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world, she stretched up her right arm and wrenched off one of the crossbars from the lamppost. If she had lost some magical powers in our world, she had not lost her strength. She could break an iron bar as if it were a stick of barley sugar. She tossed her new weapon in the air, caught it again, brandished it, and urged the horse forward. Now's my chance, thought Diggory. He darted between the horse's legs and the railings and began going forward. If only the brute would stay still for a moment, he might catch the witch's heel. As he rushed, he heard a sickening crash and a thud. The witch had brought the bar down on the chief policeman's helmet, and the man fell like a 9-pin. Quick, Diggory! This must be stopped, said a voice behind him. It was Polly, who had rushed down the moment she was allowed out of her bed. You are a brick, said Diggory. Hold on tight to me. You'll have to manage the ring yellow, remember? And don't put it on till I shout. There was a second crash, and another policeman crumpled. There came an angry roar from the crowd. Pull her down! Get a few paving stones! Call out the military! But most of them were getting as far away as they could. The cabbie, however, obviously the bravest as well as the kindest person present, was keeping close to the horse, dodging his way and that to avoid the bar, but still trying to catch the strawberry's head. The crowd booed and bellowed. Again and again, a stone whistled over Diggory's head. Then came the voice of the witch, clear like a great bell, and sounding as if, for once, she were almost happy. Scum! You shall pay dearly for this when I have conquered your world. Now not one stone of your city will be left. I will make it as Charn, as Falendia, as Soloris, as Brahmadan. Diggory at last caught her ankle. Diggory at last caught her ankle. She kicked back with her heel and hit him in the mouth. In his pain, he lost hold. His lip was cut, and his mouth full of blood. From somewhere very close came the voice of Uncle Andrew in sort of a trembling scream. "Madam, my dear young lady, for heaven's sake, compose yourself." Diggory made a second grab at her heel and was again shaken off. More men were knocked down by the iron bar. He made a third grab, caught the heel, held on to the like grim death, shouting to Polly, "Go!" Then, oh thank goodness, the angry, frightened faces had vanished. The angry, frightened voices were silenced, all except Uncle Andrew's, close beside Diggory. In the darkness, it was wailing on. Oh, is this delirium? Is this the end? I can't bear it. It's not fair. I never meant to be a magician. It's all a misunderstanding. It's all my godmother's fault. I must protest this in my state of health to a very old Dorsetshire family. Brother, thought Diggory. We didn't want to bring him along. My hats. What a picnic. Are you here, Polly? Yes, I'm here. Don't keep on shoving. I'm not, began Diggory. But before he could say anything more, their heads came out onto the warm green sunshine of the wood. And as they stepped out onto the pool, Polly cried out, "Oh, look! We've brought the old horse with us, too, and Mr. Ketterly, and the cabby. This is a pretty little kettle of fish." As soon as the witch saw that she was once more in the wood, she turned pale and bent down till her face touched the mane of the horse. You could see she felt dreadfully sick. Uncle Andrew was shriveling, but Strawberry the horse shook his head with a grateful whinny and seemed to feel better. He became quiet for the first time since Diggory had seen him. His ears, which had been laid flat back on his skull, came into the proper position, and the fire went out of his eyes. "That's right, old boy," said the old cabby, slapping Strawberry's neck. "That's better. Take it easy." Strawberry did the most natural thing in the world, being very thirsty, and no wonder. He walked slowly across to the nearest pool and stepped into it to have a drink. Diggory was still holding the witch's heel, and Polly still holding Diggory's hand. One of the cabby's hands was on Strawberry, and Uncle Andrew, still very shaky, had just grabbed on the cabby's other hand. "Quick," said Polly with a look at Diggory. "Greens!" So the horse never got his drink. Instead, the whole party found themselves sinking into darkness. Strawberry neighed. Uncle Andrew whimpered. Diggory said, "That was a bit of luck." There was a short pause. Then Polly said, "Aren't we to be nearly there now?" "We do seem to be somewhere," said Diggory. "At least I'm standing on something solid." "Why, so am I, now that I come to think of it," said Polly. "But why is it so dark? I say, Do you think we got the wrong pool? Perhaps this is charm, said Diggory. Only got back in the middle of the night. This is not charm, came the witch's voice. This is the empty world. This is nothing. And really, it is uncommonly like nothing. There were no stars. It is so dark that they couldn't see one another at all, and it made no difference whether you kept your eyes shut or opened. Under their feet there was a cool, flat something which might have been a earth, and certainly not grass or wood. The air was cold and dry, and there was no wind. My doom has come upon me, said the witch in a voice of horrible calmness. Oh, don't say that, babbled Uncle Andrew. My dear young lady, pray don't say such things. It can't be as bad as that. Ah, cabman, my good man, you don't happen to have a flask upon you? A drop of spirits is just what I need. Now then, came the cabbie's voice. A good, firm, handy, hearty voice. Keep cool, everyone. That's what I say. No bones broken, anyone. Good. Well, there's something to be thankful for straight away. And more than anyone could expect after falling all that way. Now, if we've fallen down in some diggings, as it might be for a new station on underground, someone will come and get us out presently, see? And if we're dead, which I don't deny it might be, well, got to remember that worse things happen at sea, and a chap's got to die sometime. And there ain't nothing to be afraid of. If a chap's led a decent life, and if you ask me, I think the best we could do past the time would be to sing him. And he did. He struck up once a harvest Thanksgiving hymn, all about crops being safely gathered in. It was not very suitable to a place which felt as if nothing had ever grown there since the beginning of time. But it was the one he could remember best. He had a fine voice, and the children joined in. It was very cheering. Uncle Andrew and the witch did not join in. Toward the end of the hymn, Diggory felt someone plucking at his elbow, and from the general smell of brandy and cigars and good clothes, he decided that it must be Uncle Andrew. Uncle Andrew was cautiously pulling him away from the others when they had gone a little distance. An old man put his mouth so close to Diggory's ear that it tickled and whispered, "Now, my boy, slip on your ring, let's be off." But the witch had very good ears. "Fool!" came her voice, and she leapt off the horse. "Have you forgotten that I can hear men's thoughts? Let go of the boy. If you attempted treachery, I will take such a vengeance upon you as never as was heard of in all the worlds from all the beginning." And, added Diggory, If you think I'm such a mean pig as to go off and leave Polly and the cabbie and the horse in a place like this, well, you're mistaken. You are very naughty and impertinent, little boy, said Uncle Andrew. Hush, said the cabbie. They all listened. In the darkness, something was happening at the last. A voice had begun to sing. It was very far away, and Dickory found it hard to decide from what direction it was coming from. Sometimes it seemed to be coming from all directions at once. Sometimes he almost seemed thought it was coming out of the earth beneath them. Its lower notes were deep enough to be the voice of the earth itself. There were no words. There were hardly even a tune, but it was beyond comprehension. The most beautiful he could hardly bear it. The most beautiful noise he had ever heard. It was so beautiful he could hardly bear it. The horse seemed to like it too. He gave a sort of whinny. A horse would give if, after years of being a cab horse, it found itself in an old field where it had played as a foal, and saw someone whom it remembered and loved coming across in the field to bring it a lump of sugar. God, said the cabbie, ain't it lovely? Then two wonders happened at the same time. One was that the voice was suddenly joined by other voices, more voices than you could possibly count. They were in harmony with it, but far higher up the scale, cold, tingly silver voices. The second wonder was that the blackness overhead, all at once, was blazing with stars. They didn't come out gently, one by one, as they do on a summer evening. One moment there had been nothing but darkness. Next moment, 1,000 points of light leaping out. Single stars, constellations of planets, brighter and brighter than any another world. There were clouds. The new stars and the new voices began at exactly the same time. If you had seen it and heard it, as Dickory did, and you would have felt quite certain that if it was the stars themselves which were singing, and that it was the first voice, the deep one which had made them appear and made them sing. Glory be, said the cabbie. I'd been a better man all my life if I'd known there were things like this. The voice on the earth was now louder and the more triumphant, but the voices in the sky, after singing loudly with it for a time, began to get fainter. And now something else was happening. Far away and down near the horizon, The sky began to turn gray. A light wind was fresh began to stir. The sky in that one place grew slowly and steadily paler. You could see the shapes of the stall up dark against it. All the time, the voice went singing. That's the image. And that's where we pause.